Yo, yo, yo. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. Yo, what up, peoples? We made it. Unicorn Overlord demo is out. Sick, dude. Somehow liked it 50-50. Next, we are close to GTA 6. Soup, you're hilarious, dude. Yo, we're one day closer. You're absolutely right, dude. We're one day closer, and I'm happy about that for your sake, dude. You know, I mean, never say never. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up playing it with you. You know what I mean? Who knows, dude? You want real news? Soup's here to give you real news. Yo, we got Final Fantasy Rebirth news to start off the day here, dude. Yeah. How you doing, buddy? What's up, man? You crack me up, dude. I love having you around, dude. You keep me on my toes, dude, and you make me laugh a lot. I appreciate it, Doug. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see an announcement this year, yeah, because if it's going to release like roughly 12 to 13 months from now, the thought process behind the Switch or the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call the next Nintendo hardware is that it'll release before the end of the next fiscal year, right? So that means between April of this year and March of next year, the end of March of next year. So the thought is that, you know, it'll release sometime before the end of this next coming fiscal year. So, yeah, probably sometime around February or March release time currently, unless it delays again. And with that notion, they'll probably announce it towards the end of this year, calendar year, right? So probably around the holiday season or something, they'll probably announce it. Yeah. You want to trust a GTA fan that went through the moon phases, predict a trailer? Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yo, dude, if it works, I guess, right? If it works, dude. What's this, brother? What's this? Look at the pics. Let's see this, dude. Yeah, we'll take a look at it real quick. When was this? December 4th. This is kind of old, but I'll take it. Oh, excuse me. Woo! Good night. Fans realize Rockstar teased the look. This is what Soup just gave me. We'll just go ahead and get into the news. Yo, we got video gaming news for today. Obviously, that's what we're getting pressured to start this right now by Soup, but it's good. We're gonna get into this anyways. We got day 3 of you know, Nightingale popping off today too, so we'll have some fun with that. You know, so we'll get in here and we'll go ahead and get started on video gaming news since we're already getting articles thrown our way from Soup, man. Fans realize Rockstar teased the GTA 6 trailer 1 release date on a GTA Online t-shirt. What? This was from back in December, by the way. Yeah. The t-shirt, which was added to the GTA Online shop in June of last year, seemingly by mistake before being pulled, was called question mark. Found in a category called GTA 5 Anniversary. It contained a hidden message fans soon deciphered as "One day we'll reveal all." The Twitter below reveals how the t-shirt looked. What was this? Okay. Some schizo shirt. Yeah, like aliens are coming. Yeah, that's what I do. It looks like an Alienware shirt almost, you know. Well, this mysterious virtual t-shirt was eventually officially released as part of an October event. Fans have now realized it contained a hint at the release date for the GTA 6 trailer. The shirt has numbers plastered all over it alongside strange symbols. One string of the numbers reads 12523, aka December 5th of 2023. Interesting. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny, dude. That's pretty wild, dude. That's a nice little Easter egg from GTA or from Rockstar. Yeah, that's funny, dude. Right on. That's wild, man. That's wild stuff, dude. That's crazy. Oh, look at the digits. My bad. Hold on. Can we actually pull this up closer? Hold on. Let's get a really close view of this shirt right here, dude. This is a pretty nice quality image here, by the way. I think this will be a nice look here. Here, let's read the rest of this real quick. Worth noting, the numbers that follow the 1, 2, 5, 2, 3 sequence is 09. The exact hour the GTA 6 trailer was set to debut. Yeah. A clear tease at the trailer release date. Few people noticed it at the time. More fun speculation. If we agree the t-shirt was a deliberate tease from Rockstar at the trailer's release date, perhaps we should consider the sequence of numbers as a tease for GTA 6's release date of 04/01/25. Oh. Yeah, look at that, dude. So not only did Rockstar tease us with a trailer date right in front of our eyes, but there's also a sequence of numbers pointing to April of 2025. Yeah. It's 04/01/25. Right there. Wouldn't be April Fool's Day now, would it? Yeah, I know, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. But also, dude, I mean, look at the other strings of numbers in here, right? Some of it looks like binary, a lot of 1s and 2s, you know? So are the 1s and 2s separating other... There's a lot to dive into here, dude, you know? There's a lot to dive into here. There's a lot to dive into. So there's a lot that you could take away from this. There's a lot of different sets of numbers in here too, besides just the trailer release date, the potential April Fool's date, right? Hold on. But if you're actually looking for years that are either current or upcoming, then yeah, I mean, that's about all you can pull out, right? So that's interesting. That's pretty crazy, dude. That's cool, man. Yo, thanks. Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat, man. Unlikely Rockstar would release GTA 6 on April Fool's Day. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. That's kind of wild, bro. That's kind of wild. That's interesting, man. Craziness. All right, let's get in here. Only gonna get worse when GTA 6 releases, and they do this again for 7. Bro, you got a long time coming for that. I think you just need to, you know, as somebody like yourself, Soup, that is a AAA maniac, you know, and such a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto game, you know, then or the series. I think you need to just slow down and just soak in this next release, you know, relish in this upcoming new game, and not worry too much about the future. Live in the present, baby. You know, time flies too fast for you to be worried that much about the future. That sneeze kind of jacked me up there a little bit ago. All right, man. Let's see what else we can find here. Thank you, Soup. I appreciate it, buddy. It's good to see you, man. Happy Friday, dude. You got any plans for the weekend? We already looked at the Elden Ring DLC trailer yesterday. That was cool. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is currently the final, second highest scoring Final Fantasy on Metacritic. Yikers, dude. The game does look, I mean, just from the trailer, it looks like a banger, dude. It really does. And then we've got this one saying, accomplished and impressive, but not above criticism. Huh. Interesting. Next Xbox Game Pass release is announced, and there's a lot of games. Take a look at all that. GTA 8? Bruh. It'd be really easy to RP old people at that point. You know what I mean? It'd be really easy to RP old peeps, dude. Mortal Kombat 1's finally getting their crossplay enabled. Take a look. Yo. Pal World surpassed 25 million players in its first month of early access release. Wow. Go indie devs. You know what I'm saying? Here we go, dude. Skull and Bones still hasn't even reached 1 million. And that's your quadruple A gaming experience. You know? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, let's look at this. So Sons of the Forest is something that I was kind of considering playing on release, but I was really interested in playing Nightingale right now too. So Sons of the Forest is a game I still want to get played. It might get pushed back a little bit this year because we've got months to fill now where we were planning on playing Stardew. I'm not really planning on doing that anymore. Stardew, after playing a few days, doesn't really feel like something that I care to stream that much of. So, currently that's not in the plans. So what might happen is we move Sons of the Forest back to maybe like June timeframe, where we were going to start playing Stardew initially. And The Forest, the first game of this series, was very, very good. I was planning on playing Sons of the Forest whenever it was going to release last year, but it got released as an early access release instead. They said the game wasn't totally finished yet, not all the lore was in the game, yada yada. So I was like, well, I would rather just wait until it full releases. So they took about another year of early access. Now it is here, it is full release, and I want to get the game played. The Forest was a banger game. It was a lot of fun. Pinky and I played it. It was phenomenal. We had a blast, and I would be interested in getting more people in to play Sons of the Forest together if that is something people would be interested in. This game, I think, is going to be very fun. I think it's sitting at like an 85% positive right now. That was right around, I looked at it the other day, right around the time it was going to be releasing in as a full release. And that's very respectable, 85%. That's most reviews being based off of early access, though. So we'll see how the Steam ratings go based off of this full release, and let's see what this big enormous update brings to the table as well. Okay. Yeah. I don't like Gaming Bible, dude. I'm not. Their stuff is just. It feels very clickbaity. What? PSVR 2 could be coming to PC later this year. I didn't see that coming. Straight up. That's very interesting. Yo, I would probably buy into PSVR 2 way faster than I would buy into something like the Meta Quest. Solely because of I don't want to support Meta, you know. And the price points will probably be fairly similar. But ultimately, I'd rather buy into something like the Vive or something like that. But let's take a look at this. Oh, and League of Legends Fighting's game's title has been released as 2XKO, man. Yo, this game looks dope so far. If you guys haven't seen trailers or anything of the League of Legends Fighting game, it's been touted as Project L for quite some time. This game looks sick, and the fact that they have officially named it and released the name of it means that we're probably getting close to some kind of release for the game. It looks very good. Larian's working on mod support for BG3. That's cool. Playtest signups too. Interesting. Where was the let's go with Insider Gaming's. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yo, check it. Check this out. So we all know why the college football game went away for so long, right? The college football game went away for so long because nobody was being compensated that was being put into the game, right? The people that were actually being put into the game, represented as players and staff and coaches and stuff in these titles, were not being compensated at all. And part of that had to do with NCAA's regulations about college players not being able to have sponsors and contracts and things like that, right? But that changed about, what, a year or 2 years ago, something like that, here in the U.S. So the rules and regulations regarding a lot of that have been loosened up. Players are able to take on contracts of sponsors and things of that nature. So now EA is starting to make their sports college football game again, right? The NCAA college football games again. Now they're offering college players $600 and no royalties. See, here's good old EA, dude. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a massive amount of college players in the league, right? Like a lot. So $600 is going to add up quick. But how much money do you think that EA stands to make off of this game? This was a significant game for them back whenever they had to stop making it. It made a lot of money for them. A lot of money. And literally all they're going to do is they're going to take the entire Madden game, they're going to strip it down, and they're going to just put NCAA all over it. The core game is already there in Madden. It's not like they've got a whole lot of work to do. It's not like a total build of an entirely new game. This is something that's already there for them. It's not like they have to do an insane amount of work building something from the ground up. And I don't know, man. I think that what they're going to have to start taking a look at is certain players being compensated according to there are different tiers of players. There's no doubt about that, right? There are different tiers of players every single year in the college football ranks, just like there are in the NFL. And they're going to have to start compensating these college players according to those tiers, or else this is not going to work for them. I believe that. I want to pull this up real quick. Honestly, I think there's too much money in college sports. I think it takes away from education. Have you seen the way people act about college football? I mean, sports in general, people lose their minds. It's really gross. It's really gross. The way people, I mean, there are all kinds of videos on YouTube about the way people lose their minds and just get violent. Dude, get violent about sports that they're not even a part of, just a fan of. Just a fan of a sport, and then lose their mind, commit violent acts. Like, how disgusting is that? I mean, what kind of simple-minded people resort to that kind of thing, man? Yeah, how disgusting. I mean, this is the society we live in, you know. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's exacerbated by, you know, how much these people, you know, a lot of people are willing to spend a lot of money on sports like this. Therefore, players are paid way more than they should probably make, you know, and people spend, I mean, what were they talking the Super Bowl? Dude, I saw some celebrity was talking about mediocre seats at the Super Bowl. I mean, this has become like a luxury thing. I think sports as a whole have become a luxury thing, you know, like, where back in the day, it used to be something more that, you know, the average person could attend. You might not be sitting in the best seats in the world, but average person could attend. It's getting really, really expensive. This celebrity was talking about how they treated themselves and like 4 or 5 buddies, I think, to some mediocre seats at the Super Bowl, and it was like $150,000 just for the seats. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But this is all a tiered system that happens here in the U.S. You know, all the even, I mean, through high school too. You should see the amount of money that gets poured into high school sports systems. You know, any kind of extra money gets put into high school sports systems, especially football. You know, these systems are insane. They've got these stupid elaborate fields and gymnasiums and workout facilities and meanwhile the school sitting there beside it is just trash. You know, it was built in like the 1970s. It's like on waivers from being condemned, and it's insane, dude. You know, it's crazy how much of a focus there is on sports in this country and not education. And that's only exacerbated through, like, you know, as you move up into college and stuff like that too. It's really, really wild, dude. It's really crazy. But we'll talk about this. And look, man, I love sports. Don't get me wrong. I love sports. I do. I played a ton of sports growing up. But there's definitely an issue in this country of where our priorities are at in regards to the balance between making sure that people are getting great education and still being provided, you know, quality extracurricular activities. It's totally unbalanced. It's all about the extracurriculars and specific extracurriculars, and most people don't care if education suffers. As VCs slow gaming investments, Frost Giant is turning to community for fresh capital. Interesting. Frost Giant is the developer that broke away from, it's a bunch of developers that broke away from Blizzard, basically. They're creating a very, very StarCraft-like experience. So let's take a look at what's happening there. Very soon you'll be able to play one of the best games of 2022 for free. Let's see what this is. GTA 6 is going to profit immensely. It will. What do you mean? I hope that it doesn't profit too much? What do you mean? Why would not profiting too much keep keep them on track for a GTA 7 at 2030, but if they profit too much, they wouldn't? What you mean? Because they would just keep the game current or whatever? They would just keep 6 around? Is that what you mean? If it's too profitable, they would just keep 6 around? Yeah, I don't think that really has anything to do with it. I think it's more about where we're going to be at with the evolution of technology and gaming engines, and what they'll be able to do with what they see as the vision for what comes next in the next iteration of GTA. That's when we'll get what we're supposed to get next after whatever GTA 6 brings to the table, right? Yeah, I don't think that plays into it as much. It's just like the same thing as hardware. So it plays into it a little bit. Obviously, here's I would say that it would probably, it can go one way or the other, right? If they don't make enough money off of it, then they would try and figure out a way to either add more content to it, or even that could prompt them to come out with a 7 sooner. If they make too much money, yeah, it could extend their time that they just lean on GTA 6, kind of like they have 5 a little bit. 5's been very good for them, right? So 6 could do the same thing for sure. I think a lot of it has to do with GTA 6 could have released by 2018 to 2019 or 2020. Well, it's easy to say that, but it's really hard to know exactly where they've been with, I mean, again, I think a lot of it comes down to the evolution of technology, where they're trying to make sure they're at with a next iteration of a title, right? Hold on, I'll keep talking about. Well, then they worked on RDR2. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, when you're talking about Rockstar, they have so many titles that so many people wish they would work on outside of just GTA. You're right. So that's also going to be a thing. But, I mean, there's always going to be, I mean, whether you're talking about software where there are developers that have series of games, right? Whether you're talking about something like Final Fantasy, or you're talking about Grand Theft Auto, or it could be anything. Any developer that has a long-standing series. Now, not any, because some of these titles get popped out like candy, right? Pokemon, Call of Duty, you name it. They're not worried about those types of titles. You know, Assassin's Creed. They're not worried about a large evolution of bringing an evolutionary experience to the table for the fans of that game, right? They're worried about just bringing new content as fast as possible to generate more sales, right? So there's two different things to talk about here. So then on the other hand, you've got these developers that are more concerned with releasing titles more sporadically, to where you do get those generational leaps in what the experience is bringing to the table, right? And that's what GTA is, as well as the fact that it has, you know, now become more of an online live service game, right? So it's bringing that to the table. So it's easier for them to try and build that game for the long haul, if you will. Yeah, so they try to build that game for a sustainability to where they can maybe add more content to it, but it's going to be not something that they're trying to release like Pokemon or Assassin's Creed or something, right? So when you're talking about a game like that, they're going to be taking a consistent look at where we are technology-wise, where we are game engine-wise, things like that, to determine when is the right time to maybe, and a lot of it will come down to numbers too. What's the player base like? Is it still very high? Is it as high as it ever was? Is it dwindling? You know, are they running out of ideas? Are they running out of you know, again, technology-wise, the foundation for what the game was built on, and on that technology, is it getting old? Do they need to start working on a new game for a new platform that feels new and fresh, and they're going to be able to build off of that for the future? There's a lot that goes into that kind of thing to determine, you know, when the best time is to start working on a new iteration for a game like GTA, right? So yeah, sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, numbers are always going to play a part, but also technology, the evolution of technology is also a big reason for when they decide to go ahead and start implementing that as well. It's not just numbers. Random emote time, by the way. That's a 1 and not an exclamation mark. Yo! We're going streaking! Through the quad! To the gymnasium! Let's go! Running from Fall Help. So what was this patent about? Everybody's planning on reducing dev times by using AI, dude. Again, it needs to be done in a ethical way, though. That's the thing. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know that we hit on this. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we'll take a quick peek at that. That's kind of neat. Thanks, buddy. I don't know that we ever hit on that. It sounds kind of familiar, but it's definitely not fresh. That's from, like, dude, half a year ago. I have a headache this morning. It sucks. Hopefully it gets better as we move forward. Reject! What up, dog? What up, Ferret? Yo, nice, dude. Nice. Rando modes, my dudes. Happy Friday, guys. What's going on? Good to see ya. Yeah, last Epoch had a full release. The game looks actually really good. I've wanted to play it for a long time. I've just never taken time to dive into it. Had a full release. It's a it's top-down dungeon crawler, a hack and slash action RPG, right? Very Diablo-esque or Path of Exile, if you will. It looks very good. It looks very good. It's got pretty good reviews on Steam and everything too. If you're into those kinds of games, I would take a look at that. Last Epoch. We all know this is at the most a $30 to $40 game. Ubi struggles with Skull and Bones player count. Yeah, dude. No, I've talked about this, right? I've talked about this. Nice, Soup. Yeah, I've talked about this. You want to talk about, you know, a couple of recent games that are being touted as games as a service, and they're like, these are high-quality games or games as a service, and we're going to build them for the long haul. And if they really cared about making these games for the long haul, these would have been much lower price points or even free-to-play games with as much monetization as there is in them. Talking about Suicide Squad and talking about Skull and Bones. They knew that these games were not going to do very well, so they racked up the price to a AAA price tag to try and get as much recouping out of the development costs as they could, because they knew the player base wasn't going to be good. They knew the games weren't good. The content's not good. The product's not good. So they knew these games are not going to stand for the long haul, dude. More than likely. I mean, we knew this, man. Yo, Epic Game Store, the free game like Ferret shouted out yesterday during the stream. Super Meat Boy Forever is now free. And the next game is Aerial Knights Never Yield. I don't even know what this is. But Super Meat Boy Forever is free. And then starting on February 29th, Aerial Knights Never Yield will be free after that, okay? Get your free games. We watched the Borderlands trailer yesterday. I'm not going to watch it again. Kevin Hart's turn off, dude. Robert Downey Jr. should have played Kevin Hart's role. I'll stick by that. Wait, what? Just that name? What name? Oh, that name of that second game? Or what? Or Super Meat Boy? You talking about Super Meat Boy? Super Meat Boy? Dude, I remember when that game was like, I remember watching like a small little documentary about that game and the developer behind it and stuff whenever they were like starting to release that game and like waiting to see how it was going to do. It released on like, you know, Xbox's marketplace and stuff, and this was way back in the day. The original like Meat Boy game, you know. It was, I'll never forget watching that, and I was like, man, that's a really wild process, you know. They had no idea how it was going to do, and it did pretty well for them. I don't even remember what I watched it on. But yeah, it is a weird name. I mean, to be fair, the Super Meat Boy sounds more fun than something like Triangle Strategy. You know what I mean? Or Bravely Default. There are some really weird names out there, dude. It's like people are running out of ideas to name their games, you know. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, we've got an article up for this. PlayStation planning PC support for PSVR 2, man. This is crazy. I didn't see that coming. Let's go one more page. We got a lot of articles this morning, but that's fine. Jim Ryan's not part of PlayStation anymore, so I don't know why they're saying PlayStation's Jim Ryan. Formerly of PlayStation. PlayStation's former CEO Jim Ryan is what that should say. I want to sneeze again. Yo, what did we just see a little bit ago? Power World has surpassed 25 million players for the game at this point. And granted, Skull and Bones hasn't been out as long as Power World has now, but Skull and Bones hasn't even hit 1 million yet. Go indie devs, dude. Yeah, we already talked about this. Yeah, dude. It's a banger game. Yep. Tango's an amazing developer, by the way. Tango is a developer under ZeniMax, just like Bethesda is. Bethesda published that game, but that is a Tango game. Tango developer. Tango has made a lot of really good games. My first experience with Tango was our very first Scaretober. I played the Evil Within games, Evil Within 1 and 2, which was a prompt from our buddy Tinwin, actually. He was like, if you haven't played these games and you're going to do horror games, you should try these. And so I did, and I was blown away. I was blown away. The Evil Within games were phenomenal. And then they did Ghostwire Tokyo, and so they started becoming known really for horror genre kind of games. And then all of a sudden, Hi-Fi Rush out of nowhere, right? And Hi-Fi Rush was an absolute banger. That game was so good. Shadow dropped, AAA developer, $30 price point. You don't see that very often. And it took the gaming world by storm, man. So, you know, kudos. That's a, by the way, Soup, first party Xbox game, right? That you're hyped for right there. The Soup, the one that always goes, Xbox doesn't have any good first party games. And then he sits here saying stuff like this. Make up your mind, dude. Make up your mind. You can't flip-flop. You can't flip-flop like that, dude. You can't flip-flop. Nuh-uh. Oh, man. Looks like the Peacemaker DLC is finally hitting Mortal Kombat 1 next week, just so everybody knows. Not going to pull that up. We got enough. A lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stuff. Let's dive into these guys. What are you talking? Flip-flops make me want to walk on a beach, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. This flipping song is so weird. Alright, we'll stick with that. Alright, we're starting it off here, man. Treated like children, man. Yeah, I already talked about this a little bit, and I'm probably going to rant a little bit here, so get ready for it. Big surprise, right? Big surprise. So, treated like children, college players offered $600 and no royalties. The EA Sports college football video game product is highly anticipated across college sports. The deal appears to be below industry standard. So, well, you've got a better allowance than I do, bro. So, as I said whenever I found this article in the first place, look, man. In the U.S., there, in my opinion, is a huge issue with the way we approach sports as an extracurricular and hold it in a much higher regard and priority over things like education, you know. So you go look at, like, I think this is something that I can't talk about what's going on with this until I talk about what I got to preface this first with my thoughts and views here. I think that, you know, I love sports, dude. I grew up playing a ton of different sports, but I think what I've seen happen more and more and more as I've gotten a little bit older is that I've watched so many schools, and this starts at the high school level. High school level, man, I mean, it's actually like, you know, this is like something that is kind of, it starts before high school, but especially at the high school level in the U.S., in most places, you'll see where most of the money being poured into schools is actually being put into their extracurricular sports and specific sports activities. So you go look at most of the the high schools in the country, they're flipping. They'll be still rocking buildings for their school that are built in like the 1970s and 1980s, you know, trying to keep them up and running and everything. But they'll have state-of-the-art modern complexes for their football programs, and you know, it's really just kind of insane that, you know, we hold in much higher regard the athletic prowess of somebody than we do their you know, trying to elevate their education. It's unfortunate. I don't think that it's always the case, but quite often anymore, and it's only exacerbated to a higher level on the collegiate standard, or the collegiate level in the US. You go look at how much money gets poured into the flipping college sports stuff in the US. It's insane. You know, it's really, really crazy. And then you wonder why nobody can pay for a flipping education. Nobody can afford an education. People are taking, it takes people most of their lives to pay off a flipping, you know, their college loans anymore. You know? But there's tons of money being poured into college sports. Yeah. It's very unbalanced. It doesn't make sense. We don't have a priority at trying to help people get educated and you know, be smarter. It's all about athletics. And don't get me wrong, dude. I think that extracurricular activities and sports and everything, I think they're very good for people. I do. But there's a huge difference on where we hold sports and where we hold education. It's really disgusting to see on most of the time. And you know, the into this notion here, right? Oh yeah, exactly, Ferret. Exactly, yeah. A concise way of putting exactly what I'm stating right now. Yep. Universities are focused on money, not education. And where is the money? College sports. Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. So in regards to this, look, EA used to make NCAA football games, right? And they had to quit making them because none of the people being represented in the game were being compensated, and they couldn't be, right? They couldn't be compensated because the players themselves at the time, and for basically for people that aren't aware, other parts of the world, stuff like that, in the US, in college sports, up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that, it was illegal for students to take on any kind of like contracts regarding sponsorships or anything like that, right? There's still certain rules and regulations about it, but it's definitely loosened up, right? To where they can, you know, have contracts. They can actually now take money for being represented in certain sponsorships and things like that. So that's where EA has come back into play, and they're like, we need to start making the college football game again. It was always very, very lucrative for them, right? So now they want to start making the game again, and this is how they want to start compensating the players. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? There's a lot of college sports, college football, NCAA football players. So $600 is going to add up quickly. But what is going to have to be done here for this to even hold any kind of, you know, substance to it is that EA is going to, I mean, just the NCAA is basically like the where all of these players are getting groomed to become NFL stars if they have the talent, right? And just like the NFL has their tier of players, their tiers of players, and who's at, you know, maybe practice squad level all the way up to superstars, college is the same way. College has their tiers, and obviously the younger players are more often going to be at the lower ranks. The you know, seniors and above are going to be because sometimes you get redshirted, you get a 5th-year player or something like that. They'll be at the higher, tier. They've got a little bit more time in experience, maybe a little bit more, strength to them and stuff because they've filled out a little bit more. Things like that. They're going to have to compensate people based on their expected performance level in the league, in college football. You can't just take everybody at face value of being default the same athlete performance-wise. It doesn't work like that. And go, yo, everybody just gets $600. We're done. We're going to start making NCAA. Like, no, dude. You could not expect that to work. If that's what they were trying to do here, there's no way, dude. There's absolutely no way that would work, right? Because you have people that are in the college football programs that are absolutely head and shoulders above other people. Will some of them take $600 and be like, yo, that sounds good? Yeah, for sure. There will be other ones that go, nope, hard pass. Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, rightfully so. I mean, they had to understand this is the way this is going to be. EA, you guys know that I'm not a big fan of EA. And to see them just, if this is what the case was, and we'll find out shortly here, if what they were trying to do here was just throw $600 at every single player in the league and think that that was going to work, they had to be out of their minds. By the way, this game is super lucrative for them. It always had been, and it will be even more nowadays. And also, take into consideration, they don't even have to build this game from the ground up. It's literally going to be Madden. They take Madden, and they just put in they change the NFL teams to the college teams. They change the format to the college format, the divisions to college divisions. So they're basically just switching out teams, and they're just switching out player names and stuff. That's it, dude. It's just Madden turned into college football. It's not like they're building this from the ground up. It's not like they have a ton of work cut out for them. A little bit, but it's not a ground up game that they have to do here. So, for a decade, fans have awaited the return of EA's college sports video game after a lawsuit halted them in 2014 when former UCLA basketball player Ed O'Bannon sued to be compensated for the use of his name, image, and likeness. This was actually great. I'm so glad this happened to EA. The return of EA Sports College Football, slated for the summer, took a major step forward Thursday when the video game operator opened its opt-in program for players. Anyone featured in the game will receive $600 and a copy of the game, with the opportunity to earn more with additional promotions, Front Office Sports confirmed. That news is a win for college sports, as the franchise's return is likely the most anticipated product of the name, image, and likeness era. But the NIL deals offered to players aren't quite up to the industry standard. Beyond the one-time payment, players will not receive royalties tied to game sales, even though the practice is common across the sports video game landscape. For participants, that's where most of the money is, for sure. Mixed reactions. In response to the deal, an athlete advocacy group called the College Football Players Association released a statement on X, formerly Twitter, criticizing the terms as subpar. The athletes of the second most popular sport in America are being treated like children, the group said. Across the industry, feelings vary about the deal. For athletes who may not have name recognition, this is what I was talking about before, right? A $600 check to those types of individuals that are lower tier players right now, and to be part of a historic game is more than enough, right? But that arrangement undervalues more popular players, for sure. The negotiation process for the deal itself was also different from the professional realm. Normally, these types of group licensing deals are bargained by players' unions. There's no formal players' union for college football players or any college athletes. However, a company called One Team Partners stepped in to fill that vacuum. A lawsuit by another company, the Brander Group, called into question which company had jurisdiction to negotiate on behalf of players. It has since been dropped. Here's the thing. Let's look at this. Okay. What I want to see is the difference. So, as of 2022, nearly 1.04 million high school athletes play the sport in the U.S. Professional and college football. So 1.04 million high school athletes play it. 81,000 college athletes play in the NC. So college football, right? College football, 81,000. Let's go. Let's go. Hold on. So take like 81,000, right? Times 600. That's a chunk of change. It's a big old chunk of change, right? 48 million. 48.5 million. Yeah. It's a lot of money. But even though that looks like a lot, it's really nothing compared to what EA would make off of this game retail. It's not even close. Do they have development costs and stuff too? Yeah, they do. But a big part of this game, like I said, is already created. This game is just Madden. They're going to take the underlying structure and coding of what Madden is, and they're just going to change what they need to turn it into college football. There's a little bit of work there, but it's not a ground up. It's not a ground up game make. It's just not. It's not a ground up development process. So, how many NFL players are there? So, a little bit different, right? This is what I was talking about before. 1,696, right? So when you look at these numbers in comparison, you're talking about 81,000 college football players compared to 1,696 that are actually active, roughly 1,700 every year in the NFL. It's a small percentage of how many from college actually make it to the NFL as an active roster participant, right? So there is a difference. So it's much easier, I'm sure, for EA to go, you know, with the notion of presenting the instead of just an outright flat payment, right? They get some of the profits of how much the game makes as a whole. Yeah. So again, I don't think it really matters. I think that the thing that they touched on that really makes a huge difference here is that the college football players don't have a players union. Yeah. It's a lot of money. You think about how many players that is, and $600 a player is a lot of money. But there's no way they'll get away with it without having to address individual players that are more recognizable, are top tier players in college, and what they'll have to do to negotiate with those players to be a part of the game and things of that nature, right? So obviously it's a lot easier for royalties to be tied to game sales and be presented as something offered to NFL players when there are not nearly as many NFL players as there are college players. So you can't expect EA to be giving royalties to every college player. That's just absolutely not going to be something that happens either, right? They're gonna have to address this on. It's gonna be a debacle. I think it's gonna be a debacle for them, but I don't know. This is a weird thing to see. It really is. But look at this number. This is a lot of money, guys. Don't get me wrong. This is a ton of money. But the amount of money they stand to make off this NCAA game alone is just astronomical. People love this game. They've been waiting a decade for it, too. So they're going to be all over this. It'll be way, 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 way more. Way more than this. Okay, so Frost Giant. If you guys don't know who Frost Giant is a developer that is, they broke away from Blizzard. I think most of the developers broke away from Blizzard. They've been creating a new RTS game that very much resembles StarCraft. And apparently, as VCs have slowed gaming investments, Frost Giant has now turned to their community for fresh capital. So they're looking for public backing, it looks like. Video games haven't been a niche hobby for ages now, but the scale of the industry built around gaming is still not as well known as it deserves. Revenue from video games totaled some $39 billion in the US during the first 3 quarters of last year, excuse me. Meanwhile, the box office for films in the U.S. was worth a comparatively modest $9 billion in all of last year. Big global revenue numbers have not saved the video game industry from layoffs, but people around the world are still spending on new titles and hardware. It's a great time to be a gamer, but it's as good a time to be a gaming studio. One gaming startup is shaking its fundraising approach in a way that could chart a new path for studios that are seeing reduced appetite from traditional private investors. Frost Giant, a venture-backed startup building a real-time strategy game called Stormgate, is turning to its community to top up its coffers ahead of its game's launch this year. The company's decision to test the waters for an equity crowdfunding round comes after it sold millions of dollars worth of goodies to supporters on Kickstarter earlier this year. Peter, what's up, buddy? Did you figure out what you're going with light-wise, man? TechCrunch caught up. Happy Friday, dude. TechCrunch caught up with Frost Giant CEO and production director Tim Morton about the company's choice to pursue community capital, which they said could bring more marketing and operating capital. Let's see here. This is a long article. Let's just kind of summarize this. I'll link it so you guys can read the rest of it. But Stormgate will be free to play at launch, but will let gamers spend money inside the game. Per Morton, fans of StarCraft 2 liked the increased amount of campaign content, cosmetics, and heroes they could choose in co-op modes in that game. So expect to see similar products from Stormgate in time. As someone who owns a chest of Caitlyn skins for League of Legends and has spent more time than I want to admit redressing my Tiefling Paladin in Baldur's Gate 3 to ensure that her armor all matches, I can assure you that gamers can get this can get pretty fond of their digital avatars and are willing to invest money and time into them. No amount of Kickstarter wins, equity crowdfunding, or low-pressure monetization will be able to make Stormgate a success if it doesn't attract an active and passionate player base. How well is the title doing in that regard? The company points out that it's the 36th most wish-listed title on Steam today, and it has racked up more than 50,000 followers on that platform. That's a solid start, yeah. We'll see how this goes for them. Interesting. If you want to read the rest of this, take a look. Very soon you'll be able to play one of the best games of 2022 for free. What are they talking about here? What do we have? Dying Light 2? You can play it for free for a limited time. The Reloaded Edition has been announced, and they're letting people play for free as a way to entice people to potentially try the game out. And if they enjoy it, buy the game, right? Since this new edition's coming out. The update adds firearms. That adds firearms will debut alongside the Reloaded Edition, a new edition of the game that includes the Bloody Ties expansion and all improvements that have arrived since the original release in 2022. It is available starting yesterday and replaced the Standard Edition. So, Reloaded Edition also includes new cooperative missions and visual improvements to the faces of zombies, vegetation faces? Sorry. Additionally, the developers promised new single-player content and hint at surprises for fans of the first installment. They wanted to celebrate the release by allowing people to play for free on PC for a limited time. From February 22nd, yesterday, through the 26th on Steam, you can play for free. Didn't know if there would be limitations on how far you could get on the free weekend here. But progress will be maintained and transferred to the full version if you decide to purchase. Okay? So there you go. If you need links or anything, I'll link it to you. Free! Well, free trial. Free trial. Yeah, dude. By the way, Epic Game Store, Super Meat Boy's free right now, dude. I like promoting free content as well. So Super Meat Boy's free on Epic right now, and then next week it'll be Never Yield will be free. But right now, Super Meat Boy's free. That just happened yesterday. Just so you know. Next Xbox Game Pass release is announced, and there's a lot of games coming. Let's see what we got here. Anything available as of today. This was yesterday, actually. So, available as of yesterday. Tales of Arise on the 21st. Dead Island 2 was added. As well as yesterday, Bluey the video game. On February 27th, the Man-Eater is going to be added. 28th launches Indivisible. And on the 29th, Space Engineers is going to be added. One of the games coming to Game Pass in March has been revealed to be Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun. Hitting on March 5th. Two more games leaving the Game Pass library this month. They are Madden, NFL 22, and Soul Hackers 2, both of which will leave on the 29th. Here's your list of games. Tales of Arise, Return to Grace, both of those on the 20th. Dead Island 2 on the 21st. Bluey on the 22nd. Man-Eater and Madden NFL 24 on the 27th. Indivisible on the 28th. Space Engineers on the 29th. And then Warhammer Bolt Gun on March 5th. All right. Love Space Engineers? A lot of people love Space Engineers. I've never played it, but I know a lot of people love it. If you need that list of games hitting and leaving Game Pass, there it is. Mortal Kombat is finally getting crossplay. This has been something that has been lacking from this title since release. People have wanted this for a while, and it's finally here. Well, almost. NetherRealm Studios has revealed that next week's update will bring crossplay mechanics to Mortal Kombat 1, linking PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC players. Been dubbed crossplay. You know what's missing? Switch. It's been dubbed crossplay, of course, but no more information has been provided by NetherRealm at present. Fans of the famous fighting franchise were quick to point out that the Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 have had crossplay features since release, and some have dubbed the update too little too late. But it's still a big win for players trying to play with their friends across platforms. Yeah, anybody that's a big Mortal Kombat fan will still enjoy this. But, yo, where's that Switch at? Yo, to be fair, the Switch version was balls anyways. They should have never released it on the Switch. It was terrible. A lot of resource gathering, especially to start. Yeah. That's okay though. I can still get behind that kind of thing as long as the content's good. It's still in our blood. MK1's last sales update stressed that the game had sold 3 million copies. That was back in November. Since then, the game has slipped down the charts, but drip-fed content updates and patches are keeping it relevant in the fighting game community. Next week, some top-tier characters. Yeah, Peacemaker, we saw that coming. And a female version of Johnny Cage known as Janet Cage. Okay. The latter character. So Janet Cage will be available exclusively as a cameo character. The crossplay update will hit Mortal Kombat 1 on February 28th. Doesn't look like it's going to be part of this Switch version, though. Here you go. This is mainly for Soup. Janet Cage, I know. That made me laugh, too. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Pal World has now surpassed 25 million players in its first month. 1 month of release, this game has had 25 million players. That's impressive. That's impressive for any studio, let alone an indie developer. And 15 million copies have been sold on Steam as well, with 10 million players on Xbox. That is really, really, really impressive. Check that out. That's a pretty cool little image there. 1 month of Pal World, 25 million players. Steam, 15 million copies. Xbox, 10 million players. That's cool, man. I like it. I can't wait to see what comes next from this game, you know. I really enjoyed what I experienced while I was in it. It had its issues. It had its rough edges. But the core of what's there is really special. I do feel that way. And I think that they have a lot to work with there to continue to evolve this game into more and more and more for us as game players, you know. Oh, yeah, we played it on release, Peter, yeah. Played a good amount of it, and I didn't go, like, super end-game with it or anything because I had a pretty good taste of it. The server we were on started getting obliterated by some hackers. So that was unfortunate. We were on a not an official server. The official servers were pretty bad on release, so we went with a public server, and we had some hackers that got in there and started running some scripts that were just basically disintegrating everybody's bases. So that felt bad, and I was like, okay, well, I'll wait until this game gets closer to full release. But everything that I experienced with the game up to that point, I had a blast with. I thought it was very fun. It needed a little bit of work, obviously. It's an early access game. I expected that. But the core of what's there is phenomenal. The core of what's there is a great piece of software, great piece of video gaming software that has huge potential. Huge potential moving forward for what they can do with it and continue to evolve it and add to it for even more for us to do in this game and this world. And I'm really excited to see what comes next. You know, once it gets closer to a full release, I'll probably play it again. I'll probably really deep dive into it on full release. But I got a good taste of it. I really enjoyed it, and I recommend it. I recommend trying it out. I think it's a lot of fun with friends too. Playing it with friends was a great time. Pinky and myself and True, you know, we all hopped in here and had a good time. It was a lot of fun. So Pal World has been played by more than 25 million players since its launch. Pocket Pair, the developer, has said. According to Pocket Pair's figures, the game has sold around 15 million copies on Steam, while the Xbox version has around 10 million players. Sales figures haven't been specified for Xbox. While the game is available to buy on the store, Xbox Store, it's also available on Game Pass, so it's expected that a significant number of Xbox players will have accessed it through the subscription service. Right. Pocket Pair also points out that Steam user reviews are rated very positive. At the time of writing, there are currently 261,000, a little bit over that, user reviews of the game, of which are around 91% positive. So in a post on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, celebrating the milestone, Pocket Pair said it would, quote, continue to prioritize fixing bugs and preventing further cheating. New figures suggest the game's growth has slowed somewhat, but not to a drastic degree. By February 1st, it had sold 12 million copies on Steam and had 7 million players on Xbox, which means it's gained another 6 million players and 3 million players on each platform over the past 3 weeks. It's inevitable that a game is going to slow to an extent after it's been out a while, right? That's the way it works, right? New games come out, they grab the attention of people. Some people are going to fall out of, you know, they're going to get end game. They're going to get to a point, especially with a game that's early access, you know, they're going to get to a point where they might not be thrilled with replaying the game after they've gotten most of the content addressed, and they'll just be waiting for what comes next. Some people might have been in the same situation I was in. Some people are continuing to play it and replay it because they've just had that much fun with it, and that's awesome. It is a great game. It needs some love. It needs a little bit of love, but it's got great potential. It's very, very good. So the game's community manager has attempted to temper expectations for regular updates by advising fans to try playing other games while they wait for new content. And a lengthy, again, this is an indie developer. This has been a phenomenal thing for them, no doubt about it. And I think that we have to understand this is not a massive AAA, AA developer or anything where they're going to be able to pop out content, you know, real quick. I think that probably what they're focusing on first and foremost is polishing this up. So eliminating cheaters. They're probably working on, you know, getting the AI working a little bit better, trying to prevent the pals from getting stuck, implementing some quality of life stuff, and then content will come after that, right? You've got to understand, early access game, they've got some priorities that have to be addressed before content comes into play. The game needs to be polished a little bit more before content is something that we think about here, right? So, instead, he advised players should be comfortable with playing something instead of Pal World and returning to it later when new content arrives. I agree. Yeah. It's actually, I am fine with it. I think it's refreshing to hear a, you know, somebody out of the development team actually say this. Be like, look, you know, if, you know, you're running out of, you feel like you're running out of content, play something else until, you know, find another amazing game to play until that, you know, we have more content for you. But we're working on it, and we'll get it to you. The survival game success has ignited discourse around perceived similarities between Pokemon, blah, 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 whatever, dude. Pokemon should have done what Pal World did a long time ago. They had the potential. It was there for them a long time ago. They just didn't tap into it. And I'm glad to see another monster capturing game take advantage of what should have been done in some capacity by Pokemon a long time ago. Truly feel that way. I never expected Pokemon to, you know, maybe go to some of the lengths that Pal World has with, you know, as much, you know, like guns and things like that, right? Well, I'm not talking about multi-platform or anything. I'm talking about, you know, the extent of what they do in that universe from a gameplay standpoint. Pokemon has just remained very cut and dry. It's been the same thing forever, ever. You can say that they changed stuff a little bit with Arceus. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But not to the extent of what Pal... Look, the Pokemon universe has been presented as not just something for these... For Pokemon... Pokemon haven't ever been presented as just battle monsters. Through the entirety of the entertainment, you know, spectrum of what Pokemon has been presented as, they've been companions that have helped their trainers do all kinds of things outside of you know, just battling, you know, whether it be like cooking food or, you know, helping with tasks or, well, you name it. For some reason, Game Freak, Pokemon, Nintendo, they've never tapped into that side of it, which is, in my opinion, a significant loss for them. Obviously, it's, you know, this is what we look for in gaming, right? We look for evolution. Exactly, Ferret. Yeah, man. So, I mean, we look for evolution. Pokemon has not done a lot of evolving to an extent, you know, but not in the ways that I think a lot of people wanted them to. You know, you've got these amazing creatures that, really should have been used in a much larger capacity to be a more useful companion than just to fight, right? And Palworld did it. I don't think Pokemon would be able to utilize it in the same fashion because Palworld's gone to great lengths with, you know, you can slaughter them for consumption. You can you can give them guns. You know, I don't see Pokemon going to those extents. But in a lot of other ways that Palworld has done this with their world, Pokemon could have. And I don't understand why they did, you know. But good for Palworld, man. It's good to see a independent developer doing this and winning, dude. Making a game that you know, I think obviously one of the reasons this is so popular, again, this game has rough edges. It definitely had issues, right? It needs an amount of polish, no doubt about it. But people have wanted this type of content for so long. Obviously, they're willing to overlook it, right? It's obvious that Pokemon missed their opportunity here. I think that they will learn from this. I think Pokemon will learn. I think Pokemon will take a page out of Palworld's book and they'll start doing more on this same front of what Palworld has done. And it'll still do well for them because there are just too many people that love Pokemon. They're Pokemon blind, right? It's those same people that were like throwing fits about how this was plagiarism, or, you know, if Pokemon should sue them, or I was like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Instead of looking at Pokemon and Game Freak and Nintendo and going, why haven't you guys done this for us? You know, they wanted to point a finger at a company doing things the right way, you know. Here you go. Moving on to this, Skull and Bones hasn't even reached 1 million players yet. The quadruple A experience, if you will. Even with free trials. So, insider gaming sources say that only about 850,000 people. What up, True? Only about 850,000 people, happy Friday, friendo, play Skull and Bones, including those with free trials. This might sound like a lot, but it's not actually, considering this is what Ubisoft calls an quadruple A gaming experience. After years of development, several delays, the pirate adventure is finally out. However, I can already see Ubi's next financial report lamenting its low sales if nothing changes. According to Insider Gaming, fans play 3 to 4 hours a day and seem fairly engaged, although no one knows if those enjoying it for free now will turn into paying users when the trial ends. There are several reasons for the numbers, one of which is the price. The game costs $70. Look, I've talked about this. Talked about this when I brought this article up today, but I've talked about this in the past as well. Talked about this with a game like Suicide Squad also, right? Peter, I advised everybody not to buy into this game until it came out. There were way too many red flags about this game, man. Yeah, true, yeah. Yeah. I don't know, my nose is stopped up. Probably not, though. Yeah, so this game just had way too many identifiers as something that people should stay away from on release. I advised people constantly to wait until it came out and look at reviews. It's very mediocre at best. And this is the thing. This game was in development for 11 years. 11 years. Any game in development for 11 years should be blowing people's minds, right? Not only that, but this game had close to, what was it? It was 8, 9, 10 delays. That tells you something significant was wrong in the development process of this game. There was something wrong, and you couldn't expect a whole lot from this. I always want games to be good, but we've gotten pretty good around here at being able to pick out things that show that games are probably not going to be fantastic on release, right? Yeah, exactly, Peter. Exactly, dude. Yeah. So, I mean, You just those things alone, right? And then when you find out this game is being released at $70 when they're touting it as a live service, they're touting it as a game as a service, just like Suicide Squad. This is the thing people have to understand, right? The way these companies are doing this, right? Decamarin, what's up? They were honest and wanted to screw things faster with Gollum. The Dalek wanted them, the Dalek threw $15 million at their developers and went, make a AAA game. And their developers were like, what? They did the best they could. And now the Dalek doesn't develop games anymore. Yeah. On today's episode of OA Explains. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So this is important though. I know I talk about this a lot, but it is an important thing. What's up, Syek? Happy Friday, dude. So when you take a look at these games like Suicide Squad from Rocksteady, or you take a look at Skull and Bones, these are games that are being touted as games as a service, right? And anything that is substantially going to last as a game as a service, when we know before the game even releases that they're going to be riddled with like monetization, like we knew Skull and Bones was, like we knew Suicide Squad was. If you see them releasing that game at a AAA price point, you can usually bet that it's not going to be a fantastic product, and that they're trying to recoup most of their development costs on the front end, as opposed to being concerned about getting player base in at a lower price point and really cultivating it and making this game last, getting players in and trying to add content, really cultivate this experience for the people, and make good content and make it last for the long haul, right? So that's one of those indicators as well, and we saw that. We see it all the time. Yeah. So it was disgusting to watch it with Suicide Squad. That was another thing with Suicide Squad. They wouldn't even push out review copies of their games to review sites before the game released, because they knew their product was ass, right? I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't good, and they didn't want people to know from review sites that it was a bad game or a not good game. It was very mediocre. That's what Skull and Bones is as well. Yeah. And so what? Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubi, comes out and goes, well, we should be releasing this game at $70 because it's a quadruple A gaming experience. No, it's not, dude. You're trying to recoup your losses on developing this piece of crap game for 11 years up front, because you know that it's not going to work. I mean, it's pretty brutal. It was an 8 out of 10. Suicide Squad? I got you, bro. Was it? Was it? I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion, Soup. But sorry, dude. When you put your 8 in there along with all this other data,
mission failed. We'll get him next time.
High. That's right, Peter. That's right. Seems a little high, buddy. So, I mean, look, that's Suicide Squad, right? And I was telling everybody to stay away from this too, way before it came out. I was like, you got to be worried about this. You can't be buying into this. I even told Soup, I said, dude, don't buy into this game. What'd Soup do? Soup went in and bought the deluxe edition to be a final beta tester. And then what happened? Couldn't even, $100, dude. $100 US for the deluxe edition to be a final beta tester, which means playing 3 days early, right? That 3 days of early access. The reason I say final beta tester is exactly what happened. Couldn't even get into the game, right? Servers were bonked. Servers were bonked. Now let's look at this one, right? Skull and Bones. Yo, check that out. Skull and Bones is the same thing, dude. Two different developers trying to create the same kind of game, not genre-wise, but game as a service. Basically going through the same process of huge monetization, trying to promote it as something that it's not gonna be, and trying to get people to buy into it at a high price point because they know it's gonna be really subpar, right? People have to quit getting baited by this kind of crap. It's not good for us, man. But I digress. Let's get back in here. It's a really full, happy flipping Friday, everybody. If you haven't heard me say happy Friday to you yet, happy Friday. It's a really full, quote, it's a really full quadruple A game that will deliver in the long run, said CEO of Ubisoft. Is it Yves or Yves? Gilmo. Not everyone agrees, though, even within the studio. I think we all know this is a $30 to $40 game at most. And that's what I've tried to tell people. Even if you feel like you can't release this game as a free-to-play game to try to build your player base, it shouldn't be that high. It should be something lower. Even before people know exactly what to expect out of the game. Even before reviews have come out. You know, this is just smart. But when you see a $70 price tag, you know what to expect. They're trying to recoup losses off of a 11-year development process, and the game's probably not going to be very good. But it's not in our control to determine those things, said one employee who worked on the project. However big it is, I think being postponed and remade didn't help its cause, and its prime time waned when the company didn't deliver soon after its announcement. The mood at Ubi is said to be grim. The development of Skull and Bones cost about $200 million. Ubi itself doesn't expect to get that money back from sales. If the player count doesn't improve, this will certainly be a sad story in the company's history. Another sad story, I would say. Thankfully, there should be an Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake waiting for us in the future. Hopefully, it will be what fans wanted from Skull and Bones from the beginning. It feels bad, dude. You know, it feels bad. Ubisoft boss watch Pirates of the Caribbean or something for deciding to do these games. Yo, if he had watched closely enough, the games would have been better, probably. Pirates of the Caribbean did well, dude. And I think most of those shows are pretty decent, actually. But I don't know. I think that the content's just very lackluster in these games, really, from what I understand. I didn't play it. You know, Garden Life was released yesterday. Interesting. Did you try it, True? Should have invested in GameStop. Yeah, we all should have at one point, right? Well, that was a miss by most of us, anyways. Soup must be killing it on Wall Street. Soup likes getting me riled up, dude. He's always in here inciting violence, dude. Yeah, always inciting violence, man. You haven't? Oh, okay. I'll go spend 70 on Genshin, then Skull. Yeah, you should have just spent 70 on Genshin rather than, you know, Suicide Squad, like I told you to do. Like I told you to stay away from. But you didn't want to listen. You know what I mean? Summer Game Fest in June, soon? Bro, you're always just... Why are you always trying to live in the future, man? You need to just learn how to enjoy the present, dude. Soak yourself in the present, man. Enjoy what we got right now. June will be here before you know it, dude. June will be here before you know it. You just need to learn how to just settle down and enjoy what we have right now, dude. Wish there was a demo. That sucks, True. Yeah, I can pull it up. That was a quality game? Nah. No, it's IGN. What do you mean it's IGN? Plus, Summer Game Fest. I don't know. That's just Jeff Keighley. Again, I mean, we always look forward to it because it's, you know, it's good for finding out about game releases and stuff like that. But, dude, Jeff Keighley's gotten really disgusting. I can't even hardly look at that guy without, like, gagging anymore. Yeah, I mean, it happens every June. It's like June 8th, June 7th. It's like every year, dude. Yeah. But Skull and Bones, dude. Sons of the Forest hits 1.0 release, dude. Yeah. A lot of people are. Tim Wynn for sure. We watched it yesterday. Yeah. Sons of the Forest hits 1.0 release, gets enormous update. So again, this is a game. How you doing, Tim Wynn? By the way, happy Friday, buddy. The Sons of the Forest is the second iteration of this series. The Forest was the original game, if you're not aware. It's a banger. It was very good. Pinky and myself played it together. It was a lot of fun. And I wanted to play Sons of the Forest when it released, but it ended up releasing in early access, which was kind of unexpected. And so I wanted to wait till the full release to play it. What I think is we might actually play this around June time frame, is Sons of the Forest. It has hit full release, and let's find out about the big update that's happened with the full release. This is a boring game. Cut down wood, survive from boogeyman in the jungle. That's cannibals, man. Cannibal mutants. And actually, the Forest is a banger, dude. It's really good. You don't know what good games are. You know? You think Suicide Squad's a good game. How would anybody believe what you say after you thought Suicide Squad was an 8, dude? Come on, man. Of course, I'm going to like it, right? Right, Syke? Yo, thanks, dude. Sons of the Forest is now officially released as a 1.0 game, graduating from early access on Steam, and getting one heck of an update from Midnight Games. It has been overhauled monumentally for this special occasion, with Midnight pumping hundreds of changes into the game, stuffing it with fresh content, new game mechanics, and even altering how certain characters are portrayed. This is why I waited. So I was really close to playing this, and again, when it released, initially it went early access, and they were like, we're not ready for all the content to be in here yet. So it'll be early access for roughly a year, and then we'll full release it, and it'll have all the lore, all the content and stuff that it was supposed to have on full release. So that's why I wanted to wait until now to play it. It's still terrifying. Sons of the Forest proved to be a huge success when it hit the market a year ago, racking up millions of sales in a matter of days. It's considered one of the best survival horror games in the business, featuring a massive open world, unparalleled levels of freedom, and more terrifying mutants than you can shake a sharpened stick at. To celebrate the official launch of Sons of the Forest, Midnight has made some sizable changes. Upon completion of the game, creative mode is unlocked, game's ending has been tweaked and is now choice-based. Oh, sick. Timmy is back and is voiced by Sean Ashmore. Shut up, dude. What? Nice. More cutscenes have been added. Gliders can now be carried and redeployed. There are 14 new caves and more points of interest in the world. Sick. The Forest's Legacy mutant has returned. There's a new sickness system tied to bad food and dirty water. Janyu has a bigger presence in the game. Fresh constructs and blueprints have been added. More achievements have been added. FSR3 support has been added. There's a new weather system and hundreds of fixes and balances. Sons of the Forest is well worth the purchase by any fan of the survival horror genre. Phenomenal game that's equal parts beautiful to look at and terrifying to play. A solid story at the heart of the game, but the bulk of the loot comes from simply surviving the terrors of the island you'll find yourself stranded on. Yeah, dude, if you haven't played even the first Forest game was fantastic. And I'm guessing Sons of the Forest is going to be pretty solid too. Again, this game, if you find it on Steam right now, has about an 85% positive review rating. And we'll see how that changes as the full release has hit. And we'll check it out in about a week and see if that 85% from the early access goes up or down with the full release. You would expect up, but we'll see. I play COD, Jedi Survivor. Yeah. That's why we can't trust your reviews, dude. That statement right there is exactly why we can't trust your reviews. But I appreciate your viewpoints. PSVR 2 could be something coming to PC later this year. This is interesting. I hadn't heard anything about this prior to today, and this is kind of interesting. We knew that PlayStation had taken a pivot. Oh, dude. That would be terrifying. At least I am a fan of Bowser, so I don't know. We knew that PlayStation has had more of a pivot towards trying to make their hardware and software, you know, PC compatible. And, well, their hardware PC compatible, as well as their software coming to PC in a more timely fashion, right? So they're more PC focused, I guess is what you would say, right? So with PSVR 2 potentially coming to PC, it's a surprise, and at the same time, I guess it makes sense, right? So let's see what they're saying here. PC gamers could see the PSVR 2 heading their way this year. It's according to a recent PlayStation blog post that went over the latest announcements coming to the platform. According to Sony, tests are being run to determine the PSVR 2's ability to access games on PC. While the type of tests PlayStation is performing are currently unknown, fans should expect updates in the near future. As for when players could see the PSVR 2 on PC, PlayStation hopes it will be available in 2024 at the earliest. Additionally, the blog post revealed 6 non-AAA titles and DLC content coming to the PSVR 2. The list includes The Wizards, Dark Times Brotherhood, Arizona Sunshine 2 DLC. Arizona Sunshine 2 looks really good. Little Cities Bigger, Wanderer, The Fragments of Fate, Zombie Army VR, and Soul Covenant. In particular, The Wizards, Dark Times Brotherhood, and Arizona Sunshine 2 DLC released yesterday on February 22nd. Quote, we're pleased to share that we are currently testing the ability for PSVR 2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more game variety in addition to the PSVR 2 titles available through PS5. We hope to make this support available in 2024, so stay tuned for more updates. Fans have been clamoring for PC support for the PSVR 2 ever since it launched. The original PSVR headset had PC compatibility. I didn't know the original PSVR headset had PC compatibility. Did anybody try that? That said, Sony had been quiet on their future plans for the PSVR 2 headset, saying the headset was strictly for PlayStation consoles until now. If Sony manages to go through the PSVR 2 PC compatibility, it's more than likely that its sales will improve since its underwhelming launch. I mean, that would definitely help, right? I mean, the more platforms you can get, obviously, you know, they're not necessarily going to want to put their hardware on a competitor's platform, such as in the console side of the market, but PC makes sense, and that could definitely help. I didn't know the original PlayStation VR headset had PC compatibility. That's news to me. But this is interesting. And, well, try to keep track of this. Riot Games Project L is now deemed 2x KO with playtest signups open. Where's our buddy Murdoch at, dude? He's our League of Legends aficionado around here. This fighting game from Riot, built upon the universe and lore of League of Legends, actually looks really, really good. If they don't have a video in this article, I'll pull it up and we'll take a look at it together. It's limited. We haven't seen a ton of stuff yet, but there is a little bit of some gameplay that is out there on the internet, out on YouTube and stuff. And we'll take a look at it. It looks really good, actually. So it's been called Project L for its entire timeline so far, and now it is having its name being deemed 2XKO. I wonder what that's supposed to reference or be an acronym for or something. Riot Games' Project L is no more. The studio announced on Thursday that the game formerly known as Project L is officially 2XKO, or 2 times KO. Is that what it is? 2 times KO? Is a new 2v2 fighting game featuring characters from League of Legends that is scheduled for release in 2025 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Let's watch this real quick. I'll kill my music.
Don't look away. Are we hurting each other for sports?
Face the wind! Stand with me. We call the weak. Starting now.
Replay. Time to throw down.
Oh yeah, baby, those tentacles. Let's go.
About time.
Cool, man. I think it looks awesome. We've seen other videos besides that one. They're all fairly short, but that gives you a pretty good look at what to expect out of the game. The mechanics look neat. The art style, it looks fantastic. I feel like Riot does a really good job with art style, dude. Have you guys watched Arcane? I cannot wait for the second season of Arcane. I just started watching it again recently, the first season of Arcane. We've been waiting, what, like 3-4 years now, dude? No, it's like 2 or 3 years for Arcane Season 2. Arcane Season 1 on Netflix is from, you know, the League of Legends universe. It's all about the lore and story behind it and stuff. It is so flipping good. I'm not even a League of Legends, like, aficionado. League of Legends, you know, Riot has done a great job with that Arcane Season 1, and I cannot wait to see what comes from Season 2, man. In addition to the name reveal, Riot Games released a year-end preview video to go over the plans for the game. Quote, "Our dev team has grown significantly since we last talked, and things are really ramping up," executive producer Tom Cannon said. "Overall, we're building an always evolving fighting game for the FGC fighting game community, and there's so much to be excited for. But there's also a lot we still have to figure out, and so that's where we're going to need your help." Cannon said that the team will be bringing a playable demo in a bunch of places across the world throughout the year in order to get feedback from players. On top of that, players are able to sign up for the playtests of the game via the 2xKO website, or 2xKO. I think it's probably 2xKO. Is what this is going to be referred to, website. There's a year-end preview video you can watch here as well. I'll link this for everybody. Yeah, so that's the gist of that article. This looks dope, man, and if you're interested, here's your link. Check that out. Go get in on the playtest and watch the other video if you want. Rebirth news. We've got some. Let's look at this first. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is currently the second highest scoring Final Fantasy on Metacritic. Only Final Fantasy IX has a higher average score. So Rebirth looks like it's going to be dope. It really, I mean, the trailer that came out just here recently looked phenomenal. And I do think that Square is probably going to do very, very well with this game. Not just on sales, but I think content-wise, it looks like it's going to be pretty cool, man. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth currently has the second highest Metacritic score of any game in the entire Final Fantasy series. As noted on X by games industry commentator Benji Sells, the game's current Metascore of 93 makes it second only to Final Fantasy IX on the PlayStation, which currently has a score of 94. Should be noted that judging the series by past titles, Metacritic scores isn't an exact science, since Metacritic was founded in 2001, and as such, older games have either far fewer reviews, making up their average, or simply aren't listed at all. That said, based purely on Metacritic scores, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth currently sits ahead of the original PS1 Final Fantasy VII, the Game Boy Advanced version of Final Fantasy VI, and PS2 titles Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy XII. All four of which have Metacritic scores of 92. Final Fantasy VII on PS1 is my favorite game of all time. I love that game. And then Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VI are actually right there behind it, man. Love those games. Final Fantasy XIV expansions, Endwalker and Shadowbringers have scores of 92 and 90 respectively, while the only other game in the series rated 90 or over is Final Fantasy VIII with a score of 90. Final Fantasy VIII got a 90? I was not a fan. Sorry. The minigame in that game was dope, though. Compared to more recent titles, the game's predecessor, Final Fantasy VII Remake, got a Metacritic score of 87, while its Integrate Upgrade was scored at 89. In terms of main series entries, Final Fantasy 15 was scored at 81, while Final Fantasy 16 got an 87. Now let's read this. So, in contrast to that, Eurogamer says, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth accomplished and impressive, but not above criticism. Did Square Enix really fix performance mode's image quality issues? So, the original Final Fantasy VII pushed technical boundaries on the PS1, set new standards for storytelling within gaming. Its long-anticipated remake trilogy, starting with 2020's Final Fantasy VII Remake, is similarly ambitious, seeking to flesh out and rework the RPG on modern hardware. Due out on the 29th. The middle part. Here's the thing about what we just read about the Metacritic stuff, too. The Metacritic stuff still is going to fluctuate a bit all the way up until the release of Rebirth and a little bit after it as well. So critics are obviously already getting their hands on the game. They're putting in reviews, but it's very early. The game hasn't even released yet. It's going to fluctuate a little bit, potentially. So we'll keep track. The middle part of the trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, due out on February 29th, promises a much larger and more sophisticated entry on PS5 console hardware. How have graphical boundaries been pushed on the PS5? Have the demo's image quality issues been resolved? Can the game hold a stable frame rate even with its open world scope? This is more of a preview than a typical in-depth coverage we'd like to deliver. Because of an unusually strict review embargo, can only show you content from the first few hours of the game. Avoid certain sequences, and our accompanying video has to be short by our usual standards. Apparently yesterday there was also a drop of a image quality patch for performance mode, which was probably after they had already played this. So, since that as accomplished and impressive the game is in so many areas, it's certainly not above criticism. Asset quality is very inconsistent in the opening level. Plenty of good-looking rock formations, decent levels of texture detail, easy to spot some oddly low-res work. Rocks are also very angular and low poly. Inconsistent, a little strange. Not quite up to the level of quality we'd expect. To Square's credit, there's lots of ground clutter. These scenes do exhibit a good amount of density, but the overall fidelity just isn't quite where it should be. I'll let you guys, let's look at this. How long is this? 9 minutes?
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I'll let you guys watch that. I'll just read this. You can watch this if you want. Take a look at the differences between all this. Environmental lighting is also a bit hit or miss. I think a lot of what they're probably going to nitpick a little bit here about certain things. Most people are going to play this and feel like most of it looks pretty flippin' good, you know. I'll also say this. I'm going to summarize this. This is a pretty long article. I'm going to summarize this real quick. You can see some of the differences here, right? Let's look at these. So here's your difference on the PS5 between performance mode and graphics mode, right? Performance mode, graphics mode. So obviously performance mode is reduced visual fidelity. Yeah, the resolution is significantly reduced, but you're probably going to get much smoother gameplay, right? On graphics mode, less frames. It might be a bit chunkier, but it will look better. So, what did they say about this? Graphics mode runs at 30. So yeah, 30 frames per second. If that's stable, okay, but it probably won't be constant. We'll just have to see. Presentation has changed since the demo first dropped. Still looking less impressive than it should be. Bearing in mind the base resolution. Performance mode operates at 60 frames. So this resolution is at 60 frames the vast majority of the time, which is a solid achievement for an open world Unreal Engine 4 title. Game does have a tendency to drop frames from time to time. So you can expect those frame drops in graphics mode as well. You're talking about frame drop in graphics mode from 30. A frame drop from 60 to maybe like 50 or 45 isn't nearly as noticeable as a frame drop from 30 to say 20. You know, that feels real clunky, dude. We talk about that kind of stuff a lot, right? Yes, they did. I just talked about that, Soup. I just talked about that. And that's what I was getting ready to touch on. So let me summarize this. So that's the Rebirth is mostly in good shape based on what we can show you, though I do wish the image quality issues in performance mode had been addressed in a different manner. Solving whatever bugbear is causing a softer than expected image should be top of mind here. As a scaling solution, Square Enix has gone with an unsatisfactory, in my opinion. More drastically, a shift to something like FSR2 for upsampling might be an effective choice, especially if it was paired with camera motion blur to hide some of its visual artifacts in motion. At a minimum, I would like to see an option to toggle between the scaling modes. That's the top-of-the-line overview of what we can share about FF7 Rebirth so far. Genuine quality here, but a puzzling inconsistency in the quality of the visuals, which can occasionally look underwhelming, but can still dazzle at their best. There's still an issue with performance mode image quality, which clearly needs extra work, but ultimately both modes run well enough. There's much more to discuss, though, and once embargo restrictions have fully lifted, we'll be doing just that. So, they did talk about it. I pulled that out up here. I don't think you were listening. They noted that also challenging has been the announcement of an image quality patch for performance mode, which only dropped yesterday. I literally stated that. I pulled that out. I was very I wanted to make sure people understood that. Okay? So, now, let me talk about something here. This game is not released yet. There will be day one patches, okay? There's going to be a lot of stuff that... this is always the case, right? You have to understand that they are... While this game has gone gold, it's releasing in, you know, roughly 6 days or whatever. It's going to have day one patches. They're still tidying things up, if you will, right? So... this is always the case with game releases. I think that the game's probably in a pretty solid state right now, to be honest with you. For, you know, what the PS5 can handle with this type of title, right? I think that it's going to be a pretty solid play with what Square Enix is bringing to the table. Performance-wise, the quality, again, I think that even with, like, day one patches and things like that, quality mode, you're going to get capped at 30 frames. You'll feel frame drop from time to time, probably, depending on what kind of environment you're in, what kind of, you know, things are happening in the game. You know, if you got a lot of blooming, a lot of, you know, things like that, then it'll probably affect your frames from time to time. And going from anything like 30 frames to anything below that, it starts to feel chunky. So, performance mode, you'll hit 60 frames. You'll probably drop some in that too. But when you drop from 60 to something like 50 or 45, you don't feel it near as much. You don't notice it near as much as you do dropping 10 frames from 30, right? So it just depends on what you're trying to get out of it. I'm a frame guy. I want more frames. I want frames. I want my game to be smooth as butter to the greatest extent possible, you know? But that's also one of the reasons that I will be waiting to play this game on PC. It'll look better. It'll perform better. As long as Square does a decent job of porting it anyways. It's one of the reasons I've waited to play the remake is because they ported it to PC and it was a bad port. It was not very optimized. And so I was like, well, at this point, I'll just wait and play all 3 of them once they all hit PC. So I'll be avoiding spoilers for this game. It looks amazing. It looks like it's going to be full of great content. I know there's a lot of hype around it. And as somebody who is my favorite game of all time being Final Fantasy VII, I can't wait to dive into all 3 of these. But at this point, I'll just be waiting. I'll be waiting for all of them. It wasn't enough to... this is the closest... Final Fantasy VII Remake was the closest... I have come to being enticed to buy back into PlayStation as of late. That game release was the closest I've gotten to buying back into PlayStation hardware, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. The console market as a whole has just gotten too scummy for me, in large part, as opposed to what PC brings to the table. So I'll just be waiting. But I do hope that everybody that's going to play this on release loves it. I hope it's great. I really do. I hope it's great. I hope you love it. And I would love to hear some feedback, as long as there's no spoilers. What is this, dude? It's just pre-patch, post-patch. I mean, you know, it's... Performance mode, pre-patch, post-patch. What? Performance mode, pre-patch. Am I tripping? I feel like the top one looks better than the bottom one. Did they write this up wrong or something? Oh, yeah. So it does look like the patch didn't do great for him, huh? It looks like their anti-aliasing that came with the patch, having pixelated effects for the game's launch. They'll continue to work on this. Like I said, I mean, this is, you know, just be patient. People always dive into this stuff very deeply. The game isn't even released. We got 6 days left. They're going to continue to work on this and try to polish this up to the greatest extent possible. So just, you know, be thanks for this article though, buddy. I appreciate it. Just give them time. They're going to do the best they can. This is, you know, this is always the case. There'll be day one patches. They'll get it to the greatest possible point that they can. It'll probably be better a month from now than it will be on launch, you know, but I think it'll be fully playable. It'll be pretty polished, you know. I don't think there'll be a lot to worry about necessarily. Square does a pretty good job with their PS releases, you know. Unfortunately, they don't do a great job with their ports to PC, but they do a pretty good job with their PlayStation releases. And you know, I don't think there's a lot to worry about. I think that with most games, there'll still be polishing. There'll be some, you know, improvements and stuff as we move along. About a month from now, it'll probably be a little bit better, and it's just something you have to come to expect. We talked about this already this morning. I hadn't really seen this. This is kind of, this is from Soup as well. Thanks, buddy. This is the last article I have. If anybody has anything else to add. So we talked about this earlier this morning. There was just something that I wasn't aware of. This was back in December where I'll link this for you. You can take a look at it. We already talked about it at the beginning of the news segment. It just got moved to the back here. There was a shirt that got released in GTA 5 that had basically been data mined to have a bunch of information in it about the potential release of the trailer, the GTA 6 trailer, as well as maybe some hints at when the game could release, but it seems more like an April Fool's thing. So I don't know, you can take a look, but we already hit in it in the news, so I'm not going to cover it again. This is something I wasn't necessarily aware of, but we'll read this real quick. If you have anything else to add, let me know in chat. We'll address it before we move on and play day 3 of Nightingale today, okay? GTA 6 has patented a new locomotion system to make highly dynamic and realistic animations. You'll see characters moving in ways that match the weather, their energy level, and their injuries. I mean, if anybody couldn't tell who gave me this article because it has to do with GTA 6. But this is a bit of an older article, but I don't know that I ever touched on this before, so possibly, but we'll cover it real quick. This is from the end of October of last year. Take-Two has patented a new locomotive technology in order to ensure GTA 6 has highly dynamic and realistic animations. That's according to what is that? Tobalobin 30, who and noted that name Tobias Klinthaus was mentioned in the GTA 6 leaks after a little sleuthing. Discovered that Klinthaus worked at Rockstar between 2014 and 2021, during which he specialized in AI gameplay and animation. Also, the lead inventor and author of a patent called System and Method for Virtual Character Locomotion, which they describe on their LinkedIn profile as regarding animated locomotion control based on some of the core technology they architected and implemented at Rockstar. Based on this patent, it seems like they're using a clever system after seemingly reading the patent before it was taken offline. They've built a library of small building blocks for character movements. These blocks can be combined in various ways to create a wide range of animations. For instance, think about a character in game walking in the ring, feeling tired, or getting injured. Instead of designing separate animations for each of these situations, they use these building blocks to put together the character's movements naturally. So, Tobalobin believes this means that GTA 6 can have more diverse and lifelike animations, so you'll see characters moving in ways that match the weather, their energy level, and injuries, making the game feel more immersive. It's like having characters that adapt to different situations, making the game world feel more real and thrilling. Cool. That's interesting. I mean, this is what we always want out of our games, though, right? This is evolution. This is the evolution. This is what we want. Is you know, we want things that make, you know, the details from developers. I speak details all the time when I'm playing my games, right? Details are important. We want the details to stand out. We want developers that pay attention to details, implement details in the games that make everything feel more realistic, right? Make things feel more immersive. For instance, just off the top of my head, yesterday at the end of the day, we experienced in our day 2 gameplay of Nightingale, there was a storm that rolled through at the end of the day as I was speaking to a vendor, and all of a sudden I could hear like grunting and almost like sounds of pain. And I got out of the vendor menu and look around, and not only was it raining, it was a hailstorm in the game, and it was actually doing damage to myself and my companion, which was insane. I had never really experienced anything like that before in a game. It was not just raining, there was hail falling as well. And halfway through the storm, the hail just quit falling. So if you were undercover, it didn't hit you, but if you were out in the open, it hurt. It was taking my life away, which was really, really interesting. And then one of the big parts of, you know, one of the tools you have in that game is an umbrella. So if you pulled your umbrella out, shout out to True, your umbrella as a tool is kind of like to help you not take fall damage, kind of boost you in the air sometimes, depending on the situation, stuff like that. But legit covers you from weather as well, which is details, right? Those are the things you want, that immersion. So this is what we're always looking for in regards to our gameplay experiences, right? We expect evolution. We you know, we want things to feel more lifelike in many ways. We want it to be developers. We want developers bringing us content that feels like, you know, it's like amazing to experience these things that you didn't used to be able to get in these gaming experiences, right? When you see a developer do these kinds of things, it's very, very neat, and it's just kind of, you know, really, I think every time I see this kind of stuff from a developer and I go, God dang, that's really cool, man. I'm so glad they thought to do that, right? Because it's very, very immersive, and it brings, you know, kind of that, like, that young gamer out in me a little bit, where, you know, I remember just constantly being amazed by my gaming experiences whenever I was younger. So many games just constantly making me, you know, the passionate gamer I am nowadays. And there were so many gaming experiences from whenever I was younger, and the evolution of me growing up into being who I am now, that there was just so much of it that was just like sparks, you know, in my brain about how incredibly fascinating it was. And whenever I see the developers do these kinds of things, that's that same kind of vibe I get, you know. It's really, really neat. So that's the news, guys. Thanks to everybody that was here and a part of it. We're gonna move on. We're gonna go play Nightingale Day 3. It's been a cool experience so far. It's got its rough edges. It's early access. I expected it would. The AI in the game for your companion is absolutely terrible. It needs to be worked on significantly. The combat needs more feedback as well. I was worried about that when I watched the trailers. It doesn't feel super good. You can't ever tell if you're going to hit an enemy, if an enemy's going to hit you. It's really, you know, it needs a little bit of work. But there's some cool stuff in the game too, and I'm liking it enough that we're going to continue to check it out and experience it. I'm not diving into reviews about the game yet because I don't really want to be influenced in regards to my own critique and review of the game. So I'm going to continue to play this game until I have enough time under my belt to feel like I can give a thorough breakdown of what I find to be good and bad about it, rather than be influenced by maybe reading other people's reviews. But I will do that before too long. So happy Friday. We made it. You guys made it. Great job. We're going to go ahead and move on here and work into our gameplay part of the stream. But for anybody that's been hanging out today that might not be aware, you're not normally accustomed to what we do here in our channel, in our community. This is the way we start off all of our streams. So we're live 6 days a week, every day but Wednesday. We start off with video gaming news, try to stay current with what's going on in the industry. We have a good time doing it. We laugh a lot. We joke around a lot. But it is important to me very much. We do these things. We do the news because I like to try and promote a healthier video gaming industry for us as consumers of these products and as video gaming enthusiasts, right? So quite often I do my best to point out some of these companies that are maybe not doing very good by us, as well as try and lift up and promote the companies that are doing us right, because I think that it's important that we take care of the companies that are taking care of us, and you know, we let the companies fall by the wayside that are doing us wrong. That's the way this should be. So I do my very best to create that kind of content around here. I think it's important for all of us that are video gaming enthusiasts and lovers of video games, you know. After that, we always go on and play games. We've got an awesome community here of great people that are just as invested in video games as I am, and we just try to cultivate a community here around spreading good vibes, having good times, being void of negativity and toxicity, presenting a welcoming community where everybody can always feel safe and have a good time. And if you can dig that, come be a part of it. We're always looking for more cool people to be a part of what we do. And you know, it's all about us creating lasting friendships and being people that we can always count on to, you know, be here and lean on if we need it and stuff, you know. So other than that, happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a great start to your weekend. We're going to move on. We're going to play Nightingale Day 3. I'm going to run us an outro for the news segment real quick, but as soon as that's over, I'll be right back up here and we'll get started playing games. You guys rock. Thanks for the awesome news segment. I'll see you in just a second.